It's okay to want an abortion. Did you know 1 in 4 people who can get pregnant will have one? So it's actually more common than most people think. At CareFM, you can choose what type of abortion care works best for you. We have in-person locations with private entrances in Atlanta, Chicago, and the Washington, D.C. areas. And we also offer medically supported abortion pills by mail in 20 states. For some people, it's more comforting to come into a private office where they can sit with one of our medical providers and either leave no longer pregnant or with abortion pills in hand. For others, they prefer to get abortion pills through the mail so they can decide the best time and place to complete the process. Getting abortion pills by mail from CareFM is simple. Fill out an online form, and a licensed provider will review your medical history. And if eligible, your medication will be shipped to you in a couple of days. Kara, our text-based abortion companion, will guide you through the process from start to finish with instructions, reminders, and answers to all your questions whenever they come up 24/7. With either choice, please know CareFM will support you every step of the way. Learn more at carefm.org.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first, you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, this month's film club is the Terrence Malick 1998 masterpiece The Thin Red Line, starring Sean Penn, Nick Nolte, Jim Caviezel, John Cusack, John Travolta, and Woody Harrelson, among many others. We talk the Adrien Brody cut, the military elements of the film, comparisons with Saving Private Ryan, and much more. So it's me, historian Roger Moorhouse, and filmmaker Tim Hewitt talking The Thin Red Line. Tim, Roger, welcome to the latest film club, The Thin Red Line. Thank you both. Great to see you again.
Yes,
nice to be here.
Yes, you too, Ollie. Thank you.
Lovely to see you guys.
And listeners, we've picked... This was my choice, partly because I wanted to do a slightly more well-known film. But also, I think it's something that we'd been mentioning. It was on our list. And The Thin Red Line, Terrence Malick, 1998... war film based on the Guadalcanal campaign in 1942 into 43. And this film, I mean, it kind of got overshadowed by Saving Private Ryan when it came out, which was the other big World War II film, which we also haven't done yet, Tim. We briefly mentioned it when we talked about The Longest Day, but we haven't really done it yet, so we should do that at some point.
We should. I love Saving Private Ryan.
I went
to
now. Well, it's lots of fun. Good, very good.
And, it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I went to both at the cinema, and I remember thinking that I preferred The Thin Red Line to Saving Private Ryan at the time.
Yeah, let's just preface this by saying Roger is wrong from now on.
Yeah, so that may give a hint. So we got some disagreement, listeners. Yeah. But I'll just run through the basics. And then
I'll just dive right in there.
So what we have here is a Terrence Malick film. So Terrence Malick, this was only his third film and the first in, I think, 20 years. So he has this kind of strange hold on actors in Hollywood, I think it's fair to say. I mean, he is a sort of he's a brilliant filmmaker, but I think he's sort of slightly reclusive as well. He has very odd filmmaking techniques, and for all his films are beautifully shot. And for all those reasons, I think everyone who was in work at the time in Hollywood wanted to be in The Thin Red Line. So if we just list out, so he wrote and directed it. It's based on the James Jones novel, The Thin Red Line, the title of which I think in the beginning of the opening epitaph, it's the Rudyard Kipling poem, based on the Battle of Balaclava when the Sunderland Highlanders resisted the onslaught of the Russians. And then also, I think this sort of thin red line between sanity and madness as well. So that's in the novel. And then the film, I mean, the film doesn't bear much resemblance to the Crimea campaign, but it is...
doesn't bear much resemblance to the Guadalcanal campaign either, to be fair.
Well, I would disagree with you on that, actually. But anyway, we'll get to that.
I would actually add that it doesn't bear resemblance to the form and, or formula of filmmaking in many ways, which is why it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll run through the cast. It's basically a bit of a who's who. Also, the cast members who got cut is a bit of a who's who.
Yeah.
But I'll run through the main ones. Otherwise, we'd be here all day. It's Sean Penn, Adrien Brody, Jim Caviezel, Ben Chaplin, fresh from his Game On TV show. Shout out to that. George Clooney, John Cusack, Woody Harrelson, Elias Koteas, Nick Nolte, John C. Reilly, and John Travolta. Do you want to throw in any other names that I've missed?
Did you mention Nick Nolte? Yes, I did
mention Nick Nolte, yes.
Well, the three, should we mention the three main cut actors?
The main cuts.
Gary Oldman, Mickey Rourke, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are big cuts.
And you know, well, I think we'll get onto this, but you did mention Adrien Brody, but I mean, the fact he
was basically cut.
Let's do it. Let's do Adrien Brody now. This is great.
All right. Well, I mean, he's billed, top billed, being alphabetically first. I mean, I think in the end credits, Sean Penn is given top billing, and then the rest are alphabetical. So Adrien Brody appears at the top, but of course, it's now become Hollywood legend that he was the lead when they were shooting, the lead character for 6 months.
He thought he was. It wasn't just there was. Yeah. It wasn't like everyone in the film knew he wasn't going to be in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it obviously, this is the fascinating thing about the making of the film is there was evidently an entire story, an entire alternate story following this protagonist.
Well, yeah, you could almost say an entire story that then got cut.
Well, yeah, exactly. Which is fascinating to think because when you do watch it and you see the scenes he's in, and let's be honest, he really doesn't say a thing in the film.
No, I think he's got one line. I think
he's got one line that's said very quietly.
Yeah,
that.
I think he says we've got to fall back, and that's all. That's all he says. Yeah,
and I think he's actually asked a question at one stage right at the end, and he can't really answer.
No, well, and pretty much every single shot of him is looking really quite worried and frightened, and essentially reacting to what's going on. And he is
very convincing.
Very good.
I did spend most of the film willing him to speak.
Yes,
because I was kind of, he has this sort of, almost sort of pregnant with meaning, and he's gazing into the camera, and for God's sake, man, say something.
It's true. And the thing is the last time I watched it, which was the most recent time I watched it, I actually spent most of the film when he's in a scene thinking, so how have they cut around this? There must have been something that he was saying, and maybe a question that was asked. He did answer. But Malick has just cut away and done something else. And I thought to myself, okay, he had the best he must have had an amazing experience. He was young. This was before he got the pianist, which was what an amazing fingers up to Terrence Malick. The next film he gets is the lead, and he gets the Oscar, and he's the youngest male Oscar winner in history. So, you kind of think, okay, well, there's that. At least he's had some sort of compromise, if that's a compromise. But he must have had this amazing experience with all these great actors, in the locations that they were. But what an astonishing shock.
But I think this is
apparently he found out George Clooney says he found out at the junket.
Which is when people like you and me interview actors.
That's astonishing. He must have been in pieces.
And I think he was in pieces. I mean, Ollie, I think it'd be great if you put the link to the interview.
I will. I'll do that
years later, where he describes.
He's very chilled out about it now.
Yeah, but I think he probably wasn't that chilled out.
He can afford
to
be now.
No, imagine if he hadn't won 2 Oscars and his career had dived.
I mean, and this is essentially the crux of the Malick's method, I think.
Yeah.
And there's also another link I think you should put in is an interview. It's a roundtable actors interview with Christopher Plummer and George Clooney. And Plummer, obviously, after The Thin Red Line, did his Malick's film The New World, and he lays into Malick quite considerably.
He never worked for him again, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he says, "By God, Terry needs to get a writer because he insists on writing himself." And now. This is going to take us into all sorts of areas of what Terrence Malick's filmmaking, where I see the point. I genuinely see Christopher Plummer's point in many ways, where great scenes that Plummer did have been relegated to sort of background noise, as he describes it. And you can see how disconcerting it could be for a bunch of actors where... And imagine their agents, everything. You just cut the lead. My client's the lead. And
I know, but I have to say, I there's part of me that loves Malick for this, because these actors do need to be pulled down a peg or two.
Yeah, I think, I mean, okay. I get it in experienced actors, but someone like Adrien Brody, I think that was his kind of breakout.
Yeah, it was a bit mean. I think he had Summer of Sam the next year, and he was big in that, wasn't he? I mean, that did very well.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, there are different. I'm all for unconventional filmmakers. I'm all for
Are you though, Roger?
I am absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm all for people cutting down pompous, self-important actors to size. Quite happy with that, as long as the end result is actually any good.
Well, let's just, before we get to that, I just wanted to run off a few more actors who were desperate to be in it, who were considered and discarded. And this may or may not be true, but the names are so good that we'll take it that it is true. So Robert De Niro, Robert Duvall, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Al Pacino, Bruce Willis, Kevin Costner, Will Patton, Peter Berg, Dermot Mulroney, Martin Sheen, Johnny Depp, Edward Norton.
Did these actors? I think they did a reading. Didn't they do a reading? Like, I think Kevin Costner was one of the guys who did a table read.
I think so, and I haven't finished yet. Matthew McConaughey,
bloody hell.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Leonardo DiCaprio, Crispin Glover, Josh Hartnett, Edward Burns, William Baldwin. I'm not so sure about William Baldwin, but Nicolas Cage had lunch with Terrence Malick. And Bill Pullman, got cut. Viggo Mortensen, Jason Patrick. I mean, that's quite a list.
This is every military age male in Hollywood.
Yes,
and it is quite fascinating that there was such a desire, because let's put it into context. Okay, this was Malick's first film in 20 years, and he was a recluse. I think there was only like one photograph that was available. And then, of course, social media went ballistic, and then other photographs of him popped up on set and in chats and stuff. But this was his first film in 20 years. The last film he'd done was
Far From Heaven?
No, Days of Heaven.
That's it.
Which was 1978. And then, of course, his debut was Badlands with Martin Sheen, which, of course, is like a landmark kind of road couple on the run film. Now, that's only 2 films and then he's absent for 20 years. So he'd obviously built only on 2 films, his first 2 films, such a admiring following from his peers and all the actors, etc., who probably were like kids when his second film was made. So it's quite interesting that he had such the power to get one of the most amazing casts ever assembled, and then and then to cut them,
And if you don't make a film, does that make you a better filmmaker?
Yeah, well, or the mystery surrounding your life. Why has he disappeared? You know, he's obviously he's a mystery. You know, there's some sort of weird enigma that surrounds him. But I think for good reason. I think this is, you know, if we get on to the actual film, this is maybe my favorite Malick film. I think Badlands is amazing. And then following this, he did a great, unique film, The Tree of Life. I think that it was very unusual, very experimental, and very interesting. However, saying that, looking at the style of this, which seeps into The Tree of Life, there is the tendency to get a little bit, in his unconventional style, to run away with aspects of filmmaking that are not to do with essentially what the film is about in many ways. The plot, he sort of becomes a little bit obsessed with the photography of a tree or wildlife, and he sort of blends that into a poetic whole, which is very much his style of filmmaking, and I admire. But post The Tree of Life, I've always said that he's made some films that feel like they're parodies of Terrence Malick films made by someone else, and they are abysmal. They're just absolutely hogwash, boring, pretentious, I think is the word.
So you shouldn't bother with To the Wonder, Knight of Cups.
Knight of Cups is a bit tortuous, because it takes all the aspects of the poetic sides of The Thin Red Line and makes it into one whole feature-length film, and it's extraordinarily tedious. Christian Bale doesn't say one word. You just follow him around with a camera, and it becomes painful.
At CareFilm, you can choose the abortion care that works best for you. With in-person visits in Atlanta, Chicago, and the D.C. area, or medically supported abortion pills by mail in 20 states. Some people feel more comfortable meeting with a provider in person and leaving either no longer pregnant or with pills in hand. Others prefer getting abortion pills by mail. Just fill out a short online form, and if eligible, your medication arrives in a few days in a plain package. When you choose abortion pills, Cara, our text-based abortion companion, is with you every step of the way, offering 24/7 support and answers whenever you need them. However you get care, CareFilm will support you every step of the way. Learn more at carefilm.org.
Well, Roger, I think that's our next film for the film club.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, Tim, you just said parody, and you said pretentious, and you said painful. The first two of those I had written down on my sheet of keywords for this discussion. It came across to me like a parody of a war film. You know, the way, I mean, parts of this I thought were amazing. The cast is incredible, as we've talked about. It is amazingly beautifully shot. The cinematography is next level. It's stunning. You know, that when they're fighting their way up the hill, and you've got the grass sort of rustling in the wind, and then you've got the shifts of light and darkness as the sun goes behind the clouds, and the sort of cuts to wildlife and so on. All that stuff visually, it's fantastic, and even the battle scenes as well, visually really, really strong. You know, beautifully done. It is a beautiful film. Poetic. You used the word poetic. Absolutely right. I mean, there are, I think, some standout performances. I know we'll come to them later on, but Nick Nolte, I thought, was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant performance. But at the same time, it's a mess, right? It's the flashbacks don't work. They don't really give you any kind of sense of context beyond the obvious.
The only one I will give you there, Roger, is I thought the Ben Chaplin
with his wife
was a bit laborious, and I
think
remember
it was a bit too much.
Yeah, and I remember watching the cinema at the time as it was teeing up to the final letter arriving. I was thinking, God, it'd be so funny if she dumps him, and then of course that's what happens.
But then it doesn't go anywhere. again, you see, you've got all of these sort of threads in the film, like you said, right? Okay,
Well, he then becomes a sergeant and takes
I
more
know.
responsibility.
Okay, but none of this sort of serves an overarching narrative arc. You've got, like you said, he shot however many thousand hours of film. I don't think I'm exaggerating enormously, and then went away and kind of cobbled it together, managed to get it down to just under 3 hours, which frankly, to my mind, is an hour too long at least, right? And there's, like you said earlier on, he sort of, I think, I mean, I put words in your mouth, but he kind of lost any plot that was there at all. Like, you're left with this kind of what is essentially a bit of a dog's breakfast. The narration that goes over the top is pretentious at best, largely meaningless. It's like being stuck in a lift with a sixth form philosophy student. It's tedious. It's like, and it's in this ridiculous American accent going, "Why are we here? Is evil a thing?"
Yeah.
Just shut up.
I do understand what you mean.
It drove me nuts. And all of this stuff stopped the film from being a good film, right? It could have been a good war film if you drop all of that shit, right? I could have gone through that. I mean, I know I'm not Terrence Malick, but I could have gone through that with a red pen and said, drop that bit, and you'll end up with a decent war film. As it was pretentious. The pacing was all over the place. It felt unstructured. There's barely a narrative arc in it at all. The narration was absolute mess. And the first 45 minutes, it was like watching a war version of Waiting for Godot, because like nothing happened. It's like, it drove me nuts. Honestly, it drove me insane.
I think I would respond to this outburst with the key point, which I think maybe Ollie will. You've seen it twice, I think, Roger.
Yeah.
Ollie, I'm assuming you've maybe seen it more than twice. Yeah. So I've seen it
5 times,
quite a few times. And I think that once you get over,
it gets better and better.
Well, yeah. Once you get over all those points that you've made, and then perhaps analyze it for essentially veer away from the idea that I want to watch a war film. I thought this was a war film. Then things start to open up in the sense, I think, that it's actually maybe don't classify it as a war film entirely, and let Malick's poetry dictate the narrative, as opposed to when's the next. See, when you described it as it's a bit like a war version of Waiting for Godot, I think that's exactly why I quite like it.
Right. Okay.
Waiting for Godot is quite a well-regarded play.
Yeah.
Yeah. By some. Yeah. No, okay.
And I think that like there's no narrative structure. I agree with you. But then when you look at it as if you take a step back, and then this is why I think repeated viewings help, because I think then you start to understand. Oh yes, now I that bit is the hill, the capture of the hill. Then they manage to make it through over the top. The beginning is when he's AWOL, and then he's without explanation. By the way, you don't see him actually captured. It suddenly cuts to Sean Penn in the boat on the ship interviewing him, and you think, hang on, have we missed a scene? How did they see them? How did the boat passes the island at some distance? But it doesn't matter, I don't think. And after certain amounts of viewing, you start to understand. This isn't a classic narrative. Doesn't matter. Forget that. And I think the one thing I do agree with you about is the excessive voiceover narration. I think it does. I think it works to some extent, but I think particularly post the when they've managed to capture the Japanese on the hill, and then they get a bit of leave, and then they're on the beach, and then it starts to slow down. Yeah, a bit of snipping would have helped.
Yeah.
The wife flashback scenes, to me, they never became boring simply because his character, Ben Chaplin's character, is the window into, okay, it's the connection to the home life. We need a little bit of a vision of these. So I don't see it as a narrative, conventional narrative. The only narrative arc I think that actually does well, the only one in the film that there is, I think, is Nick Nolte, because I think he's the most, simply through the brilliance in his performance, and even when he's quite silent and he's just giving looks, he's sitting, they've been told they're going to go on leave, and you can see a sort of disappointment in his face. He's got absolute an objective. He actually says it. This is his war. Finally, it's his turn. And I think he's the only character really that you can see any sort of motivation. Whereas the others are kind of all reacting to the horrors of war, in inverted commas, the old adage that it's war is hell. Yeah, we've seen that before. But I do think this is done in such an unconventional, and I found it really quite fresh when it first came out. Because the way he juxtaposes beauty with horror, I thought it worked quite well.
Okay, even then, I mean, he's even. I think he's unnecessarily. You say that, and I kind of get the point. But just to counter that, Tim, he's very squeamish about actually showing much at all. In terms of horror, as you say, like Woody Harrelson's death. Yeah, I thought so. Woody Harrelson in the thing.
You wanted to see his butt.
Oh, you wanted to see his. Right.
No, listen. Look, Woody Harrelson's death. He supposedly pulls, wants to pull a hand grenade off his webbing, and he pulls the pin off and leaves the hand grenade there. And by the time he's realised, it's blown half of his bottom half away. Right. If you rewatch that, there's no blood. Where's the blood? There's no blood anywhere in that scene. Right. And he's just blown his own legs off. Right. So at least
I think the camera is very good at being waist up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't want to see.
I look for the blood.
But even on the people that are treating him and saying you'll be all right, like lying to him, saying you'll be all right, like they would have blood all over them. He would have blood all over his face. Where's the blood in that scene? It just doesn't work.
Maybe the explosion cauterized the wound at the same time.
Now you're just being silly.
Maybe we need a medic to describe that. Actually, if it was behind him, the blood would have shot out, but it wouldn't have actually come up over it. But I would argue at the same time, he doesn't necessarily shy away from horror, because you do sometimes see shots of legless bone protruding.
Yeah, there's a couple of those.
And there's a man pulling teeth out of a Japanese prisoner, and he's got teeth round his.
But Woody Harrelson is one of his main characters in the film. He does kill him off a bit early, but he's one of the main characters. It could be a really poignant scene. It could be like Wade's death in.
I thought it was a poignant scene.
I didn't think it was at all, because
that's really
because you didn't see what was going on.
God, I was incredibly moved by.
Yeah, I thought that was actually. I actually quite liked the fact that he didn't, because for me as an audience member, I just concentrate on what I think Woody Harrelson's performance is fantastic. And I just was watching his face, just
sort
slowly
of sorrow,
drain
horror,
away the
pain,
life.
fear.
Don't you bullshit me! I love the fact that he's just pure adrenaline.
I was brought to mind. I just mentioned there. I was brought to mind Wade's death in Saving Private Ryan. When they do the assault and he gets shot, and then they try to save
the medic.
The medic, yeah. Which I think is an amazing, like one of the most amazing death scenes in cinema.
Yeah, it's great. But they do have to rip his
bloody
clothes
as
off.
hell. Yeah, it's bloody as hell.
They do.
Yeah, of course. And they're desperately trying. But he's covered in his own blood. They're covered in blood. And then Woody Harrelson, we're supposed to believe, it's about suspension of disbelief. You're supposed to believe he's just blown his own legs off with a hand grenade, and there's no blood.
Not necessarily his whole leg off, just his arm. I think he says his buttock.
Yeah, I've blown my butt off.
Yeah, well, if you've got a hand grenade next to the body going off, is going to do more than.
I just watched a film called Warfare that's just come out, which is very good. And a grenade goes off in an enclosed room, and the only wound from it is three cases of concussion and a scratched finger. So
Well, then these filmmakers are getting it all wrong.
So, I mean, even a modern grenade, and this is meant to be hugely realistic, this film, doesn't really do that much, you know.
Also, I think The Thin Red Line is a lot better than Warfare.
Yes. I think the thing about the Thin Red Line is that it's a piece of art, ultimately, not necessarily a war film.
I agree. I think it's very much sort of in the vein of, you know, sometimes like a director like Lars von Trier, where I don't know if anyone's seen the film Melancholia, about the rogue planet that's heading straight towards Earth, and you think of it as a sort of an apocalyptic. This is a film like, what is it, Armageddon? But it's,
Deep
you know,
Impact.
it's Deep Impact, but it's Deep Impact as if it were an impressionist painting in the 19th century. And I kind of think of this as along the same sort of lines. It's you know, it's not Saving Private Ryan. Don't think you're going to see, except for the fact that when which I think makes the battle scenes all the more impactful, is the gentle pace and poetic nature of the photography in the first 45 minutes. That when it hits, what's fascinating is if you listen to the editors of the film, they said that Terrence Malick felt that what he would really have loved to have done would have been to hire a director to direct the battle scenes, because it was logistically such a challenge. And what he really wanted to do was focus on the characters walking around, in inverted commas, and the poetic nature of the film, because that's much more Terrence. They said, you know, our actual favorite bit of editing was post the battle, when they're all relaxing on the beach, going for a swim, because that's Terrence Malick. They said that both editors were saying this. But what I think, the battle scenes are astonishing. I think they're fantastic.
I completely agree.
They are good. I mean, the one after the assault on the bunker at the beginning, top of the hill, and then subsequently that attack on the base or whatever it is, or that encampment, which actually was all, you know, with the smoke and the sort of the handy cam, the way they sort of followed them around. It actually reminded me a lot of Come and See, because it was kind of deliberately confused. You never know who's who you following. You know, there's lots of shocking scenes that you sort of see out the corner of your eye, and then you carry on. So I thought that was brilliant. I completely agree. I mean, this is what annoyed me about it, is that there are absolute flashes of brilliance, like I described earlier on, and you said as well. Battle scenes, brilliant. Some of the cinematography, absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful film. It just kind of lets itself down. With all the, you know, with the other stuff that I've mentioned, that's the clunky dialogue, the lack of a really sort of discernible narrative arc. And I get the thing about it, but you know, that it's art, you know, cinema as art, and I get that, but it still has to work to me, it still has to work in a sort of narrative sense to some extent. It felt like
because of convention.
Yeah, okay, but you know, I mean, you still have to come out of it. And listen, you can watch Apocalypse Now. You know, we talked about that before. I'm a big fan of Apocalypse Now. Some of that is beautifully shot. You've got that same element of, you know, artistic license, of otherworldliness about it in that film. But things like, you know, where Willard is sort of talking to himself. You know, the narrative over it contributes something. It's genuinely philosophical. It's genuinely thought provoking, some of it. And then in this one, it's just kind of, you know, why are we here? Just doesn't work.
But that isn't that something about the James Jones input, in that his novel is very much like that.
Is it?
And
well, maybe you shouldn't have made it into a film then.
But I mean, I think the Jim Caviezel character, just talking about him, you mentioned, Tim, that Nick Nolte had an arc. I think the Caviezel character certainly had.
Yes, sorry, I was definitely I was going to add that Caviezel does, of course, he does disappear for a very long time, which is another unconventional thing that Malick does. You know, he just, now we're going to concentrate on this character. John Cusack's character appears kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then,
but you would
says,
get
"I'd
that, I
like
think, in a battle, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
You'd get
exactly.
someone would play a
Which I
significant role and then disappear.
Yeah, and I love this sort of thing when it comes to film going against the grain. I think it's one of the things that filmmakers, particularly filmmakers who are desperately trying to get things made, it's a huge battle, because the industry, in inverted commas, want no, by page 6 this has to happen, by page 20 it's the end of Act 1, by the page this it's this,
which is very Saving Private Ryan.
And of course, and there are films that but when films go against the grain and it works, and I think this does, Roger doesn't, but because I find it interesting, I actually prefer that. I don't like to think I hate watching a film going, okay, and then in 10 minutes I know exactly what's going to happen. This guy's going to come in, a new character is going to be introduced, and then the battle or the obstacles that the protagonists have to face are going to happen here. And it's so great when it doesn't happen. When it's
my complaint about, because the two films did get compared because they came out in the same year, and Saving Private Ryan, I found, apart from the opening scene, which was just quite brilliant, I found the rest of it all a little bit it was a sort of man on a mission and a bit unrealistic from that standpoint, and they arrive in the town, and then they're
very
all
one-sided,
creating their own bombs like the A-Team did, and it's just all a bit. Whereas I found this, from a military standpoint, it seemed a little bit more realistic. And, they had their objective to get, but then, you get the sort of hand-to-hand fighting afterwards, which was really powerful. You got a bit more of a view of the Guadalcanal. I was thinking about this most recent watch. You get more of a view of the Guadalcanal campaign, which was, I think, 6 months. And you get that ebb and flow that you would see in a campaign like that in the film. So from that standpoint, I would say it was more realistic than Saving Private Ryan.
Hello, Ollie here. Please forgive my interruption, but I wanted to let you know that at Aspects of History, we produce a digital magazine featuring articles, interviews, short stories and book reviews of the best historical writing available. Authors featured including Ben Macintyre, Lucy Worsley, Andrew Roberts and plenty more. An annual subscription is available for only $9.99, that's pounds or dollars. Yep, you heard that right. That's 6 issues for under £10 or dollars. Head over to aspectsofhistory.com to subscribe, where you can also gift subscriptions. Now back to the show.
Yeah,
Roger's unconvinced, of course.
Well, it's the thing is I don't. You do definitely know what you're going to get sometimes with a Spielberg film. I think overall, obviously, the opening was, it set a new benchmark of war filmmaking.
Yeah.
Just simply because of the way he used the camera. That hadn't been really done like that before. And what I love is that actually, the Thin Red Line, he doesn't do anything like. I don't really think in the battle scenes, there's that much handheld. It's beautifully smooth, gliding camera work.
I felt like there was in that scene with the enemy camp thing. I think that was sort of handheld.
Yeah, when they get up onto the top.
Yeah.
But the crux of the hill battle is just gorgeous.
I think that bit with the grass just stays with me, even thinking about it now.
And it juxtaposes so well with the actual nastiness of war and his he sometimes I don't know why, but one of the most disturbing, and I know why actually, is because of the creature is it's just pure innocence, is the one shot of the struggling chick.
Yeah.
And it just, it's like, how dare you bomb the shit out of a landscape with all this wonderful wildlife.
You see, this is what
living it
again. I'm just banging on here, but this is what frustrated the hell out of me. You've got a brilliant cast. You've got the most visually amazing film been made there. It just struck the whole, but then it lets itself down. As I said, clunky dialogue, the flashbacks.
Can I just ask, the clunky dialogue, Roger? Do you mean the voiceover narration? Because I
that too. Even a lot of the dialogue I thought was pretty average. It wasn't terribly profound. It thought it was profound, but it kind of wasn't. So there was actually a brilliant film in here trying to get out, and there was just too much shit in the way.
You know what I will give you, and Ollie, I don't know if you agree with this. On this most recent viewing, it must be 7th, 8th time I've seen it. I mean, Roger must think we're insane. But the one thing is, and I made a note of this, is Sean Penn's character. I'll be honest, I'm actually struggling to remember what he, in every scene he has with Jim Caviezel, I'm struggling to remember kind of what he said, because it seems like he makes the point quite a few times. You know, you're he doesn't say you're nothing, but he kind of talks to him like,
well, he's trying to get him to conform into a
yes, that's the point. But he has a few scenes with him, and it felt like I didn't see any.
Well, I think the feeling that I got, and this film is very much about, I think, how you feel. You know, it very much gets to your feelings.
Of course,
yeah.
And I got the impression that the two of them, they're opposites, but they each recognize each. Even though I think Caviezel at some stage says, "I'm a much better man than you are," and maybe he is outside of war. But you get the impression that the two of them, they have a connection. Like they do recognize each other's.
Yeah, I get that.
And so I think there's one stage, I think it's at night after the attack, after they've won the bunker, of which Caviezel has volunteered, having gone AWOL at the beginning of the film. And he says to Sean Penn says to him, I mean, what difference do you think you can make in all this hideousness, or something along those lines? And that kind of got to the point of the two's relationship. And Caviezel, though, I mean,
he makes the ultimate sacrifice, which
I then can't stop volunteering for things.
Well, I got the idea that maybe, you know, after it all, with the memories of that idyllic lifestyle with the natives, etc., that he kind of went.
That's gone.
A post AWOL when he volunteers. Perhaps what was going through his mind in an instant was, I'd rather die.
Maybe, that's interesting.
Well, I think because there's that scene when they're on the off duty, you know, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through,
in the sort of plantation house.
Yeah, and he goes to the boy and he puts his hand out and the boy backs away. Do you remember?
Oh yes.
Because I think that we should juxtapose with the opening scene of him in the village, where they're all singing songs and holding hands or whatever it is, you know, that idyllic kind of, you know, scene. So in a sense, I think that informs the manner of his death. It is a self-sacrifice, but to your point, Tim, I think he's realized that idyll that is described at the beginning has gone.
Yeah.
Right. The trust has gone.
Yeah, I think so.
That world has gone. It doesn't exist anymore.
Which is why he could have surrendered. Yeah. But I think that was his destiny.
Yeah.
But he because decided at the beginning he talks about his mother's death and how she met
how she embraced it. Yeah.
She calmly, and at the beginning, at his death, he of course embraces it calmly.
Yes.
And it's incredibly. I mean, I was in floods of tears when he.
And I think I think it's actually it's prescient that the scene between John C. Reilly and Sean Penn. Of course, John C. Reilly, you don't see much of him. You see him every now and then, but he doesn't really say much. But then there's the scene towards the end between the two where John C. Reilly says, "I don't care about anything anymore," and Sean Penn says, "Well, sounds like bliss." And I think Jim Caviezel had come to the same decision, and I think that's why.
I'm not sure I agree actually, because at the river scene, which is the beginning of the end for the Caviezel character, I get the impression that he cares about the two who've been volunteered, because he can tell that they're not really up to the job.
Yeah, he tries to save them.
And so that is him absolutely caring, because he says, "I'll take care of it."
Yes, but I sorry, I thought I meant in sort of selfish reasons. I didn't think that he cared about his own destiny anymore. Getting out, surviving this. That I thought that his, it was a decision of self-sacrifice, probably around the time of The Hill.
I wondered if he had almost reached a level of, like a
or dedication,
just going with the flow,
or conforming.
I'm going
like
to
Sean Penn
take things
said.
where they may.
There is an odd thing which we're kind of all, I think, a little bit dancing around and alluding to in vague ways, is that he's basically a bit of a Christ character.
What?
So he's a Christ character.
Yeah.
So he's sort of wide-eyed,
quite ironic,
and he is absolutely stunningly beautiful.
And he's stunning. He's a beautiful man, absolutely. So he sort of wafts through the film. Almost.
The camera adores him.
Yes. And then at the end, you've got the self-sacrifice. For the other two guys, if not for the rest of his team. So I think there's a definite sort of Christ analogy going on there.
Yeah, I think that's that's very fair. Yeah. Well, look, we've been droning on for 45 minutes, and so
I thought incisive critique. I thought it was.
Yeah, of course. So what we need to do...
the film must be brilliant, but if it creates debate like this...
No, that's the
way. That's the end of it.
It's absolutely not a waste of time to watch it. But we are,
that'll be on the next issue of the DVD.
I was about to say, not a waste of time. Roger Moorhouse.
We'll do our awards.
Yeah. Have you seen The Tree of Life? Can I just very quickly ask?
No, I haven't. No.
Right, and that's the next film you need to see, and I'd like to know what you think.
Is it Terrence Malick?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
What we should
do there are aspects to it you will not expect.
Right. Okay.
Well, we should do The New World, and because that's
I quite enjoyed The New World.
Pocahontas and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, I'm happy to play along with whatever you decree, Ollie. You're in charge.
Okay, right. Well, we'll do that. We'll maybe give Terrence Malick a miss for a while. We'll come back to that.
For a while.
The New World, I think, the discovery of, is it the Mayflower and all that business?
Yeah.
Captain Smith and all that. Right. Okay. So we'll do our awards. So we'll start off with best scene, and I mean it's funny. I think it's difficult because some of the scenes I've lumped in. It was difficult to give a name for them. And so some I've picked are actually really long and others are very short. So I had a long list. So I've actually had to boil it down. I mean, I really like the scenes with Caviezel and Sean Penn. So I went with the first one on the ship where he's kind of trying to get through to him and failing. Then the attack on the Japanese position. That lumps in a whole load. So that includes Nick Nolte having a row, Nick Nolte,
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
The Jared Leto's brilliant. I mean, that scene is that clip is just incredible when he.
In fact, there are a lot of scenes with all these named actors where they actually don't say anything.
Yes.
And they're doing great acting, reacting.
Yes, when Jared Leto sees his two men go up ahead and then they're shot, and the look on his face is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, there is a little bit of overacting in that as well. There's the chap, I forget which character it was, who here's the thunder of battle ahead of him, and he sort of has a
John Savage
mini breakdown. Was that John Savage?
Is it John Savage? John Savage is never ever. He's amazing. I
thought that was a little over-egged, but you're right. There's a lot of that stuff.
He's
Savage at the end of the battle.
So underrated.
How come everyone dying? I'm standing up here, no one's shooting me.
Basically, he is channeling the deer hunter, but he's brilliant at panic. He's always been brilliant at panic, and I think if you need someone who is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, hire John Savage,
right?
Because he's brilliant like that. I think. I would say that I'm so sorry. His name is in Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yes, he's got a funny name, hasn't he? Dash Mihok.
Occasionally, I would say that some of his reactions could be construed as slightly overacting.
Bit
Occasionally,
harsh.
not all the time.
Harsh.
Okay.
It's a bit
Anyway,
harsh.
so we're still doing our scenes. So
Yeah.
the final attack, when they take the position with Cusack,
Yes.
Mhm.
then there's and I'm going to lump in the sort of Cusack Nick Nolte discussion where basically Nick Nolte wants Cusack to carry on advancing. Cusack doesn't really say much, and Nick Nolte convinces himself to bring up water from the rear. Basically, it's one of those examples where the protagonist and the antagonist in the argument, the antagonist convinces himself by the protagonist's silence. But maybe that was just me then.
If you can,
the hand-to-hand stuff and the atrocities, sort of, I'm lumping those in all together.
Yeah.
I loved the Caviezel death scene, and you know that whole sort of
Yeah.
Japanese coming through the trees, the river.
Yeah, the river scene.
And when
was
he
wonderful.
died, oh my god,
yeah, stunning.
So there are quite a few there, but I might not have included some of the things that you liked.
I need to say very quickly that John Toll, we haven't mentioned John Toll, the director of photography, 2-time Oscar winner, Braveheart and Legends of the Fall, who shot this. I think one of the most stunning shots on film is when Sean Penn and Jim Caviezel are crouched down in the grass at dusk. And I'm not entirely sure how it was lit, but it's so beautiful. But that's the look, not necessarily as Roger will
I'm loving that. That's
what
great.
they're talking about. I agree, though, but I think it's tricky because the dominant aspect of the hill, the battle on the hill, is so vivid. And it's what, an hour? I think something like an hour long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you include the hand-to-hand stuff towards the end and the the advance,
it's difficult to veer away from that. If we're talking,
I think that's fair enough. Yeah, and it's the bit that Roger liked as well. So we're probably all in agreement there.
Yeah. No, that was great. And the enemy camp and the river. I would say the river scene at the end was brilliant. So yeah.
And when the bombs start to go off, I mean that's all practical, obviously, and it's so immense. I actually was thinking about the actors, genuinely the actors who were near it, how controlled it must have been.
Yeah, do you think they knew what was going off where? Because they into...
they must have done.
There's no CGI in this, is there?
No, absolutely not. It's all practical. I don't know.
But no, I mean, that was a brilliant scene. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go. Should we say the attack on the... I mean, basically, it's about, as you say, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's about a third of the film. Yeah.
Okay, most inaccurate scene. Now, the only thing I would say, this is very difficult to find any of it inaccurate. Apart from this sort of general feel, Roger would probably say. But
I was going to say, we haven't we haven't mentioned the actual historical accuracy of.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty accurate from that standpoint. One thing I would say is the succession of stunningly good-looking American servicemen is maybe a little bit inaccurate. They're all gorgeous-looking Hollywood stars.
Yeah.
And if you look at I don't know whether your average US soldiers all got gorgeous matinee idol looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
We haven't even mentioned the Clooney scene at the end, actually, by the way, as well, where that's a bit of light relief at the end, isn't it? Maybe, but again, that's realistic. But inaccuracy, the only thing I would say is that they're all just too good looking.
Maybe that's why Mickey Rourke was cut.
He's just one extra too good. It's this pre-plastic surgery stage, wasn't it?
Oh, that's true, actually, yeah. And Billy Bob Thornton. Well, Billy Bob Thornton did the entire narration, but it wasn't used.
Wow. So He was the southern drawl saying, "Why are we here?" That was him
Yeah.
then, was it? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, because there is a voice where you hear and you're not quite sure who it is.
Entire narration reduced to this one line, "While we're here."
What was Gary Oldman's role in this?
This poor sixth form philosophy student. I feel so sorry for him. He's wasted his entire semester.
Yeah, I don't think Roger has much time for philosophy anyway.
No. What was the question, Ollie?
Gary Oldman's role.
Gary Oldman. Yeah.
Do you know what his role was?
Well, some soldier.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks.
Or South.
Was he
South
was
London.
he even in it?
No, he was
He
cut.
was cut. Yeah, I didn't see him exactly. So
okay. So if anyone's can raise me on the old inaccuracy bit.
I don't know I think the landing, unopposed landing at the beginning.
It was unopposed.
Yeah,
it was unopposed as well, was it? Because I know that happened at, was it Iwo Jima or Okinawa? One of those. It happened.
I think Okinawa was unopposed.
Okinawa. Yeah. So maybe that was a sort of a common tactic. I don't know, or a common occurrence. But that sort of okay. I thought that happened somewhere else, but yeah, maybe it did.
In Walmart's Newville, joy started to grow. For online-only savings sure to steal the show. Tech treats and toys so dazzling and new. Walmart Cyber Monday deal soon ready for you. It's online only with very little time to spare. December 1st will soon be here, so be sure to be there. The Who's are prepared. Are you ready too? A day packed with savings. Amazing! Who knew? Subject to availability, terms and fees apply.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long campaign.
Yeah, and the you know, obviously when Elias Koteas, who I love as an actor, is dismissed by Nick Nolte, this all rang quite true, with Nick Nolte's character saying, you know, I'm going to recommend you for the Silver Star, and if I recommend
a Purple Heart,
yeah, throw in a Purple Heart. No one needs to know about this. Now, you know, I wouldn't be able to say whether this was based on any sort of fact, but it must have It must be. Well, it must happen all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened all the time. Yeah, I have no doubt. I think, you know, that scene where his poorly timed, you can see the sort of weaknesses of Captain, I've forgotten his surname, that played by Elias Koteas, who's really good in it.
Staros.
Yes.
He was really good, actually.
Yeah, he's really good. He's always good, Koteas. Brilliant. Where he says to Sean Penn, who's given the morphine to the wounded soldier, I'm going to nominate you for the... He does it right after it's happened. It's like a bit ill-timed. I mean, why are you saying that right away?
Yeah.
Annoys Sean Penn.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I thought there was a lot of insubordination, which is something that
you always see that with American.
That stuck a little bit in my craw. I don't know if that's realistic. I mean, maybe
is it American
once or twice,
soldiers generally?
But,
is it?
But even that scene you just mentioned, he said, "You say that again, I'll smash you in the mouth." And this is a lieutenant talking to his captain.
I know, but
I
think that's the sort of Hollywood ification. Of
so maybe that's something you could run in with your
Roger. Actually, Roger, your inaccurate scene surely would be lack of blood.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson blowing his arse off. Yeah, that.
Okay,
absolutely.
so we got 3 nominations then. Well, should we say then mine was a bit sort of vague. They're all good looking. They're all too good looking.
Yeah, that's not most inaccurate scene, I suppose. Though
no,
that's
it's
just
not
an
really.
Aspect of the
so
filmmaking.
we'll have. It's either Woody Harrelson. Let's go Woody Harrelson then.
Let's go with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Throw me a bone here. I'm going to be outnumbered, so you got to throw me a bone.
Yeah. Okay. Now, best performance. Now, this is difficult. Adrien Brody was in the running until.
Was he even in it?
Yeah. I find it.
I just think Caviezel's brilliant in it. Absolutely brilliant. So
he is brilliant, but I mean,
I think I would argue is the only star of if you're going to have a star in the film.
Yeah, which is interesting because Sean Penn is billed as the lead. I think Sean Penn's character is simply not rounded enough. I don't think there's enough meat for or an arc or evolutionary
Yeah, he
turns.
arrives sort of ready-made grizzled sergeant and leaves ready-made grizzled sergeant and hasn't really changed.
And to your point, then Jim Caviezel just kind of wafts through the film. He doesn't.
No,
really,
as I pointed out earlier, I would argue that he has this arc. He has.
Yeah, I think he has an arc, but I don't think. I think he disappears for such a stretch of the film.
Well, no, he takes part in the attack of the Japanese bunker.
Yeah,
and then, it does. But he. I mean,
and you see him in the hand-to-hand fighting scene quite a lot as well.
Yeah,
and of course he's at the beginning with AWOL, and then in the brig, and then preparing for the attack.
But for me, I think Nick Nolte just
absolutely,
but he's not. Absolutely. He's not lead. He's not lead.
Oh, we're doing lead, are we?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But does the film even have a lead?
Well, that's why I'm saying Jim Caviezel is about the only. I mean, he's the only one you can nominate. Really.
In fact, Martin Scorsese named this as one of his favorite films of the time, and states
Roger
categorically
knows more about filmmaking than Martin Scorsese.
Well, clearly.
Exactly. We should maybe do a Martin Scorsese film then.
We should
see what Roger says about that. Goodfellas. But he categorically states, and he must be right, that there is no lead. It's an ensemble.
It feels like that. Absolutely feels like that.
I know, but it's unfortunately that doesn't conform to Aspects of History Film Club's performance for lead.
I mean, I'm with Tim. If you've got to pull out one performance, then it's got to be Nick Nolte.
No, but not as the lead. We have a best supporting.
But
he says more than Jim Caviezel in the whole film.
No, he doesn't. With all the voiceovers, Caviezel says a lot more than Nolte.
Jim Caviezel doesn't do the voiceover though.
He does
Billy Bob Thornton.
Some of it.
He does a lot of it.
Why are we here?
Think about Nick Nolte's.
I'm not shifting from Caviezel as best performance in a leading role. He anchors the film.
Okay. He's putting his foot down.
Nick Nolte's in it. How many minutes is Nick Nolte in it for?
Quite a few. I mean,
probably as many as
about 10 minutes.
No, not more than that. More than that. He follows John Travolta around. And by the way, can I just say?
I mean, I would have nominated him for best supporting. So it's not like I don't think he.
Nick Nolte is brilliant at following John Travolta. This actually is a serious point. You see his objective from the very first frame he's in. And he's not saying anything. I think he's amazing. I've always thought Nolte's an amazing actor.
I thought he stood out in that whole film.
And then you know when he rubs his brow in frustration when Elias Koteas is saying no, this is brilliant performance in my opinion. It's
so frustrated.
Yes,
so frustrated.
I thought he was great. But no,
I would say he should have been nominated for that.
Yeah,
he should have. I agree. As a best supporting, undoubtedly. Yeah, I agree.
Jim Caviezel would not have been nominated for best lead.
No,
I don't think.
Absolutely not. No.
Well, I know. But as we always say, what do the Oscars know? They're idiots. They always.
Ollie knows all.
So, but if you can come up with another actor who was on the screen for as long as Caviezel, not even close, I would. I mean, Elias Koteas is in it for more than Nick Nolte is.
Okay, well, if we have to,
which we do,
then I would say, yeah. I mean, well, we can't argue.
Yeah,
let's just go over this. Come on, team.
We can't argue. Which means that Jim Caviezel has won Aspects of History twice.
Oh, he's a firm favourite, despite his QAnon obsessions. But he hadn't got to it by this stage in 1998. So, he wins Best Performance from
Oliver.
He's so pleased. Best Supporting. So we've heard Nick Nolte's looking good. Any other?
I mean, the thing is that Nick Nolte obviously wins. I mean, in my mind, wins Best Performance in a leading role. But because then I would.
Oh, so he's not eligible for Best Supporting then.
Well, then I would give maybe Woody Harrelson Best Supporting because I thought he was in his brief appearance. I thought he was fantastic. I think he's a great actor, and I think he was great in this.
He is very good. I just don't think he was as good as Nick Nolte in it.
No, I agree.
No.
I think Nick Nolte wins Best Supporting. What
Oh,
about Elias Koteas?
Yeah, he was good, but not
Yeah,
Nick Nolte. Nolte's
Nick Nolte's
Travolta was a bit Travolta-y,
Travolta was
wasn't
a bit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was.
It was a bit miscast. In fact, you've cut Mickey Rourke and Gary Oldman.
I know.
What are you doing?
George Clooney makes a bit of a fun appearance at the end.
Yeah, his role was bigger as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But we don't know what else he did.
Cusack.
Yeah,
Cusack was okay. It was a bit underused, though. It was just
underused.
a bit.
The same thing with Ben Chaplin was good. Yeah.
Yeah, Ben Chaplin's very good.
Nick Nolte,
considering Ben Chaplin is a Brit, and I thought he was highly convincing as a Southern United States.
He was. He was.
Yeah.
What about Miranda Otto? The only woman in the film.
Well, she should have been cut.
Except for one of the natives, who was actually really convincing. The interesting thing about the native scenes is that Malick basically said to Jim Caviezel, just go over and talk to her. And it was all improvised.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Cool. That's cool.
Okay, cool. Well, great improvisation by our award winner there. Right, so we are now moving on to what if Tarantino had made it, and I suspect Roger wishes Tarantino had made it.
Yeah, I do. Would have given it some structure.
Samuel L. Jackson would have narrated it.
Bit more blood.
Harvey Keitel would have been Tim Roth.
The cod philosophy would have been vaguely more convincing.
Travolta would have remained in it.
Yeah, the poeticism probably would have been slightly lessened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snappier
dialogue.
Yeah.
But the action scenes. I think he hasn't really done a war film. I mean, I know Inglourious Bastards is a war film, but there's not really armies involved in that.
No.
It would be interesting to see him have a go at a kind of conventional, not that this is conventional, but, a kind of campaign-esque war film.
Yeah.
It would, I'd love to see him have a go at that.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder what he would have put. I reckon there would have been more. Oh, actually, I don't know how much more he would have got a good cast. He probably wouldn't have cut as many people as Malick's cut, but I wonder whether I quite like what I found interesting about this, though, that we haven't mentioned, is the Japanese side of things. The American soldiers do come across quite often as brutal arseholes when it comes to confronting the Japanese opposition, and the Japanese are often portrayed as desperately petrified and praying a lot of the time, which is interesting because a lot of the time in films made by the West, we see the Japanese as
the Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Yeah, Bridge Over the River Kwai. Rather cruel.
Trouble is, they make such damn good cameras.
Yeah.
That's a quote before I get cancelled. That's a quote from Dr. Strangelove.
Exactly. Well saved.
Right, we have to. We'll have to. Roger's got an appointment, so we have to.
Okay.
Speed this up.
Go.
But and also I think he's got a more efficient filmmaking process, Tarantino. So I suspect.
Well, I think a lot of the loose ends would have been, tied up.
But I do sometimes argue that he can have a lot of fat when he's not edited. Hateful Eight, I think, was very bloated.
Yeah.
But carry on.
Yeah, and maybe sort of the end would have been halfway through the film. But right, and then final legacy rating. I mean, I think it's grown in legacy since it's overshadowing by the Spielberg film. So.
Well, yeah,
I think it is 3 out of 5. I'd nominate.
It is often quoted though in top 10 war films lists quite often.
I'd still go 2. I don't know. Tim's casting vote between
among your historian friends, Roger. Would you say it's made an impression? Saul David would be a good person to ask.
He would actually. He's written about the Pacific. I know. Did it really tell you much about the Pacific campaign? I don't know, or was it? Did it tell you more about the sort of philosophical agonies of Middle America? I don't know.
Maybe both.
And Nick Nolte's drive, no matter what. no matter what.
But like you both said, it's not really a war film in that sense, is it? So what's the legacy? What is the legacy meant to be? It's not like it's a lesson in this is what the war was like.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's not a history lesson.
More powerful.
No, I think it's high on Malick's oeuvre.
Yes.
It's definitely people who know Terrence Malick's filmmaking.
It's the pinnacle of that, yes.
But I don't know, mate. 3?
Are you going 3 as well?
Yeah, I think because it is often mentioned as a powerful piece of work. I think
you're just going
Roger,
with the herd then, Ollie.
I think that for the reasons you've given today, Roger, it never gets to 4 or 5 because too many of the audience of the mass market probably
don't understand.
Goes over their head.
Yeah. Yeah, fair comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as sort of cut and dried as Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, and and I mean, just in terms of sort of perfect filmmaking with the narrative arc and the characterization and all that stuff. I'm not an advocate of sort of all action puff bang cinema because I don't like that either. But I think you have to tell a story. You have to give character. And all
I agree.
That.
But the thing is it's quite a standard response by a lot of historians, filmmakers alike. They acknowledge the brilliance of Saving Private Ryan, but they very much emphasize the lack of, for want of a better word, allies in the film.
Yeah.
In that campaign, it is extraordinarily one-sided.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, this has been great. 3 out of 5, I think we agreed on. But this has been really a good. It's always great when one of us doesn't agree. So we'll have to think.
That was
film.
wrong. That was fun.
Yeah, one of us is wrong. As long as it's not me. And so I think that we are going to have to pick another film along those lines, but that is also well known. I think the well-known ones listeners we need to think of.
Yes, yes, beloved listeners.
I mean, it's nice to introduce a film maybe that they don't know that well.
Yeah, maybe sprinkle the majority of our films in with one that maybe people don't know so much. All right, so we'll have a think about that on our WhatsApp group. But listeners, if you want to get in touch and suggest a film, by all means do through X or there's the email address. But until next time, Roger, Tim, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Cheers, Tim.
See you soon.
See you, Ollie.
Thanks so much for listening. Links are in the show notes. Please share with friends and family. And if you want to get in touch, you can through X or email history@aspectsofhistory.com. But until then, thank you and good night.